And, then I kind of like placed all the pieces together. I'm like, okay, well, this is better in the front here. This is a good middle section. This is a good ending. And then I had to go back and, how you wrote 6 years ago or 3 years ago is not how you're going to write now. So I kind of had to I did have to go back and hammer, and I'm like, wow, that was a really shitty thing, the way to write that. Let's do it like this. And I had to, manage to cram the tone to keep it the same throughout the whole novel, which is really not a way to write a novel. But I mean, it's, having done it, the only way you learn anything truly is to just do it. And then, once you put the pen down or you take your hands off the keyboard, like, okay, all right, that's the home run. And that's the easy part, is getting done writing it and getting it to where you want it. But yeah, I mean, the first short story that I sold almost 2 or 3 years after 9/11. And I actually started writing it before 9/11, and I wrote the rest of it like a year later, because I was like, I can't write about this right now. I used to live in a town in New Jersey called Dover, and I could see the Twin Towers from my apartment like a daily basis. I grew up looking at, being able to see them from wherever I was in my hometown. And I moved here, and that's when 9/11 happened. And I kind of wanted to finish it off, finish my story, because it takes place in Manhattan. And it's it got published, but there's 2 different tones in the writing, and it's only like 8,000 word story. So I kind of wanted to avoid doing that shit. So, the idea of writing all the way through really avoids, changes in tone. Maybe you become a better writer halfway through, and you can go back and adjust all that stuff. Yes, Mr. Ash.
That's right, you put your hand up first.
You guys were talking about how you have to write like you talk, and I just want to ask, like, because Nelson, when you write, you have a different voice than when like I talk to you normally, and I just was wondering, like, how do you develop the voice, and like just flipping through DDM, it sounds sort of like a noir, and then it has like Rat Pack kind of flair to it at some points. And
it's because of the hat, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it has something to do with the hat. So I was wondering, like, did you consciously develop like a different voice, and that kind of ties in with the idea of like the tone and how you're writing?
I think it just I think as a writer, your style and how you write and your tone of your writing just kind of happens, and almost regardless of what type of story it is. I've kind of found my own style. My character dialogue tends to, I don't know how to put it. The cool characters in my stories tend to talk a lot cooler than I do. One of the good reasons to write is, you're not writing about you, although you might be putting yourself in the role of the character. Like, a friend of mine finished reading this, and I said, I just heard your voice all the way throughout it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I mean, like, there's, the main character is a woman, for Christ's sake. My voice isn't that naturally high. How you doing, baby? But when I find my characters finding their voice just talking to each other, and even if it's not written in here, they all have like a little backstory.
Right.
Even if it's only crammed away in my head. Yeah. And Kat and Bruce, they're Yinzers. And I am not indigenous to the area, but I've been here for 12 and a half years, so my father-in-law, I wouldn't call him a total Yinzer, but I got a lot of the vernacular from him. Like the character of Kat could be his voice on a lot of this stuff.
Nice. All right.
Tim.
By any chance, would we be able to find this book at LJ's Books?
As a matter of fact, we very soon will be able to.
Yes.
It will also be available at the bookstore formerly known as.
Yes, the bookstore formerly known as.
We're going to have a symbol like.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yes.
It's like an ampersand.
There is an ampersand in the new name, so you're close.
Outstanding.
We'll just call it
Ah, there you go. So what
And
is the
books.
bookstore going to be called?
The bookstore is going to be called Rickert and Beagle Books. My new business partner is Peter Beagle, the author of The Last Unicorn.
Awesome. By any chance, is there going to be a panel there next Saturday?
There is going to be a panel there next Saturday.
No
oh my
fucking
gosh.
shit.
Yes, indeed. Yes, although it is film related, not book related. So
But I wanted to make sure, will both authors along with you, will their, how to phrase it, their books be available at your new bookstore?
yes, absolutely. Eric's book is already in my store, and I have signed copies of it.
Oh, very
and
cool.
no additional charge. You get the autograph.
That's awesome.
And if Nelson does not sell out of his books this weekend, I will be bringing copies to my store on Monday, although we suspect he might sell out, in which case he will get me some in the next few weeks.
So we can find both of these authors' books at formerly
Yes, indeed.
LJ's Books
And I also have the
on
collections
West
that
Levy
Nelson's
Avenue
stories are
near
in.
Mount Lebanon, correct?
Yes, indeed.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you so much for the plug for my bookstore.
You're welcome.
Are there any more questions for our authors?
Anyone?
Tim?
Yes, since you mentioned Yinzers, and you mentioned you've been here for 12 and a half years, did by any chance, did you mention Jumbo anywhere in your book?
Jumbo.
Jumbo, which is called baloney. Thank you.
I've never heard that. I've been here for almost 20 years and I've never heard that one.
Actually, up until about 99, 2000, 2001, Giant Eagle used to advertise. They used to advertise, honest to God, since Giant Eagle is really Pittsburgh based. Because Pittsburghers call Giant Eagles. They used to have Eckrich bologna and Jumbo. There was no difference. It was just the point Jumbo was the generic version of Eckrich bologna. And I've had several conversations with this, and that's why I brought up the Jumbo. Just
Now,
because I didn't know, since you said you've been here 12 and a half years, there's a possibility you were still in that crosshairs of having Jumbo.
No, well, I mean, not being a ginormous fan of bologna in the first place. You know, I mean, had I been a bologna fan, who
Oh,
knows?
no one's a big fan of lips and assholes.
That's right. Well, not on a sandwich.
But no, I had to ask just because since you brought up you've been here for 12 and a half years, of course you've missed out on Chili Billy and some of the other Yinzer aspects of, especially the people that claim to be a zombie in one of the Romero films, that they now would have to be like 65 and collecting Social Security at this point. And that's why I wanted to know if Jumbo might by some chance be in there, or any other like slang, jagoff,
Well,
things of that nature.
There's a line. Jagoff does make an appearance.
Cool.
And
Very cool.
just real quick, the doll Stitch.
Okay.
The main character cat calls him a jagoff, and he goes, "What's a jagoff?" And her definition of a jagoff, it's like a jerk off, except it's you.
Because I was just wondering if you have realized in pop culture some of the popular TV shows that are out there, Jagoff has actually leaked into very recent pop culture TV shows recently. And Jagoff has caught people off guard, like, what the hell is Jagoff? And I've actually have had emails from Texas, like, realize, hey, isn't Jagoff kind of like a Pittsburgh? And it's leaked into national television programs recently. And do you have any feelings on
Well, Jagoff doesn't really appear in my book, but Permanis is in here. That's my pivotal
well,
part
that's very
here.
good, especially since Permanis is going national. National.
Well,
you know.
but the character in the book does make a differentiation between the one in town and then these other little stores
Oh,
popping up everywhere. So
It-
there
it's-
is a difference. There
It's
is a
not like
difference.
LJ's and formerly LJ's, which will be much bigger in the future.
Yes, exactly.
So
When she starts
promote-
franchising and
To promote all independent authors and self-publishing authors that will be here in the future.
Alicia, you have a
Yes, I
question?
have a question. Do you find that your characters, this is for both of you, ever get away from you and do things you may not expect them to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole reason this book exists. This was actually supposed to be a 3,000-word short story.
I'd like for everyone to see
My
thickness
problem,
of the
however,
book.
is that when my characters start talking, it's my job to faithfully record whatever it is they're saying or doing. And at some point, I lose the ability to control them. They're actually telling me their story, and if I shortchange them, it's going to be a sunny story. They need to tell me their story, and if it turns from 3,000 to 230,000, okay, so be it.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, and that's actually one of the most fun parts of being a writer. It's like when your characters kind of hijack your story. It's like, no, we're going over here now. It's not going to be about this anymore. You know, I had real pretentious, grandiose visions of where my story was going to go, and it went completely somewhere else. And it's better for it. You know, your characters just like, okay, you just let them up
let
and
it grow.
go. Yeah.
Let it grow.
I feel like sometimes they know better than we do.
Yeah, it's their story.
Absolutely.
It's their story. You just have to be scribbling it down.
Absolutely. Young man in the back.
Yes, sir. Thank you for sharing this. I have a question for young lady Chris.
I'm just the moderator, man.
Besides these two authors, will you be featuring some comic books and some book work from a person named Johnny Axe?
Indeed.
Oh,
as a
she's
matter
got all
of
kinds of
fact,
stuff in
I have,
this
yeah,
one,
I
yeah.
have issues of.
Like the shiny hexagon books, yeah.
Yeah, I have a disc edition. If you'd like to read your comics, I can do.
I thought
I
I would
have
bring it up
individual
since
issues. We have copies of the big one.
The heart of
I
Abracax.
thought I would bring it up since these two kind gentlemen who are more than willing to talk about their feature books, and I respect them entirely. That there is people like Johnny Axe out there who does write a lot of different, we'll say, things that can be featured at formerly LJ's on West Liberty Avenue. And I just like people to understand that Johnny Axe is an author himself that doesn't get enough credit for what he does.
Oh, thanks,
I
Tim.
will go one step further and add to Mr. Gross's statement. JohnnyAxe.com. Red Horse Radio.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Axe for president.
So with that, Eric has very kindly offered to give away a signed copy of his book tonight. So would you like to
Very
start
cool.
the process?
Let's see here. We've got. You guys don't count. You've already got. So we got 7. Okay, so Chris, pick a number between 1 and 100.
Got it.
Tell us.
I got it.
You got it?
I got it.
And we'll just go online here. Each one of you tell your number. Now, you got to
I'm
know which
not
one's
picking a
closest.
number because I would like a person who has not understood Eric's work would like to witness his work.
Okay.
I'd
Well,
like to-
either way, we're still good with 100. Since we're
get away with
it.
No, I would
13.
like somebody that's never read it.
13,
Pick a number.
23.
3,
55.
55. You in the back on the green? And you, ma'am?
13.
13 was already said, I believe.
Oh, okay, 16.
16?
Rick.
69.
69. Which
Yeah,
is
that's
closest?
23 was my number.
23 was the closest. My dear.
Hours.
You also
on the
find that
vibe.
not only is it a zombie book, it's also one of the few zombie books you can use as a weapon against an actual zombie. At a little over 2 pounds, if you get a good backswing on it, you will crack the
Actually-
skull open.
So when I first moved to Pittsburgh and I was out on my own a lot, one of my friends said, anytime you have a nice big book like that, hold it like this with the spine out. Anybody comes at you, straight at their nose. They'll push their nose right back into their brain.
What about like extreme paper cut?
There you
Yeah.
go. Pick a page, any page. There's over 600 of them in there, so.
Yes, and Tim's got a book back there too, everybody. And also, his new movie, Jagoff Massacre, is premiering tonight at midnight.
A little bit after midnight because the car will be playing on 16 millimeter, which, for those of you who don't know, that's film. Honest to God, please, not only the authors, but the filmmakers that are here in the convention, please support. These are the people that we need the support. They're all independent. A lot of the people here that are outside the celebrities, we need the support because if we do not support these, Hollywood, too drunk. Hollywood wins, and part of the problem with Hollywood right now is the reason why they're going to digital projection. And not only digital projection, believe me, the big names and who distribute books don't want to hear from the self-publishers. They don't want to hear from people like that are sitting up at the table right now. They don't want to hear from people like myself. That's why we have Chris. And believe me, support her store. Make sure you go there. Even if you don't support these guys, make sure you support Chris. Honest to God.